Hey everybody, what is up? Welcome back to Funnel Trade. I have another Patreon question today, this time about the next Pokemon release, Destined Rivals, the current prices for the products, and whether you should be paying these prices, whether you should wait, or what you should do. And I thought I owed it to you guys to really deeply explain my position on this, because I've made a lot of statements about it in the last several weeks, and I haven't, I think, really put my entire position down on video or in writing to my patrons on Patreon in order to make sure that people really understand what I think about this and where I think it's going. So, the Pokemon market has been kind of crazy for probably 6-7 months, different parts of it, depending on what specific part. Now, Sword and Shield has been going progressively crazier, but it's reasonable. It's all out of print, and the supplies of it are dropping to ridiculously low levels. So seeing Sword and Shield boxes continuing to rise, we just expect this. There's nothing weird about that. It's how it's supposed to work, you might say. Scarlet and Violet is a whole different thing, because even SV01 Scarlet and Violet base set could get reprinted, could see sizable reprinting. It's not too old for that it's outside of precedent that Pokemon USA has set in the past for reprinting old sets. Now, it's highly unlikely, but it is within historical precedent. And so, as we then move through SV02, 03, 04, 05, and on and on and on to Destined Rivals, the odds of seeing more and more reprints improve. Now, you have to think about what happens in the future. Let's say 6 months from now, a set like SV05, Temporal Forces, it's going to be less likely to be reprinted 6 months from now than it is today, because the window for its official supported lifetime, which is about 2 years for regular Pokemon sets, will be closing or closed or beyond closed or way beyond closed. And so the odds of the reprint go down. And this goes back to something I said in my 3 levels of investor video a couple weeks ago, which was at some point you start thinking more in terms of probabilities. And yes, I will do a whiteboard video on probability distributions. I did a bunch of them back in 2023, but probably a lot of my subscribers were not around back then. But I will be going and explaining probability distributions in the coming days. But the way that I look at this is current Scarlet and Violet sets, let's say 8, 9, 10, maybe even 7, things like that, those are definitely going to be reprinted because the market is still too hot for them and they are still too current. They are too new to be this expensive and this hard to obtain for regular people in the market. And when you go backwards, those odds go down because they fall into that unsupported category at some point where they're beyond 2 years old, and so it's way less likely they're going to get a reprint. And again, like I said, as you look forward into the future, those 5, 6, 7 sets, those become less and less likely a year from now to be getting reprinted than they are today. And so as I think about this kind of in an amorphous way in my head, I think, okay, Destined Rivals is coming. The boxes are what, like $250 or $240 or something. Rudy said he would take like limit 2 and $50 off market or something like that. So maybe they'd be $230. I don't know. In my mind, I think the average outcome of the possible futures from here is that 12 months from now, those boxes will cost considerably less than they do today. And the reason for that is this Scarlet and Violet market has been operating at this crazy fever pitch for a long time. And it can only keep that up so long. There are only so many people who will pay such high prices for Pokemon consistently for so long. And I was watching Rattle Pokemon, and, he does a video almost every day of the crazy stuff people are doing to get Pokemon, waiting outside of GameStop and Best Buy and Walmart and Target and, waiting lining up at 6 a.m. to get some booster packs. And, he had a video yesterday or the day before, and it was a bunch of people waiting in front of Best Buy, and then it opens up and they go in, and there was like one box for all of them to split. And so it's like one person got to buy something and the rest were SOL. So everyone else who spent an hour or more waiting in line got nothing. And regular people will only endure that so long before they lose interest and they go find another thing to do with their time. And every day, some of those people fall by the wayside. And similarly, the ones who say are here just to buy and flip real quick, well, they get some product and they flip it and they make some money. And a week later, they're still doing the same thing. And a week after that, they're still doing the same thing. But at some point, the number of buyers willing to pay those high prices starts to shrink. And when those buyers aren't buying consistently and giving that guy profit, one, he might lose interest because he's not making enough profit to feel like it's worth his time. Or two, he may exhaust all his capital. And then he's just sitting on a bunch of boxes that he can't get a price he's happy with for. And so he'll stop and he'll go away. And the same thing happens all up and down the market in terms of capitalization and buying power, in terms of desires of what specific products they want. It happens all over the market geographically. And eventually, the weight of that becomes too heavy for the market. And essentially, too many people walk away and lose interest and stop propping up the prices at these high prices. And at the same time, Pokemon USA is running their own print company that they own 24 hours a day, and they're still contracting out to other print companies to do additional printing for them. And the thing that I think is hard for people to appreciate it before you've had it explained to you is that the printing will always overshoot the target. And so you will always have the situation where there is a guy or a group of people at Pokemon USA who is in charge of ordering the printing and deciding on the print numbers. And what they're doing is looking backwards in time at the historical buying of recent history, and they're deciding on the numbers. But they can't look at today, and they can't look at all those forward points in time in between deciding on this number, putting it on the print schedule, and those cards getting to the market. And in between those two periods of time, things change. People walk away from the market, prices can drop, and the print schedule is already outlined. The printing companies have already ordered paper. They've already allocated labor. They've already done things they're not going to turn back from. And in the case of the outside printing companies, they have contractual agreements. And so because of that, the printing will always overshoot at the end of a crazy bull market like we're in. And so you have this issue of people tiring of standing in line for an hour and a half at the butt crack of dawn at GameStop and getting nothing. Or you get tired of the people who are just trying to enjoy collecting and the prices are twice what they would be in a tame market. And they decide to walk away for a while. And at the same time all of that's happening, the printing press is still churning out cards as fast as it can. And so it will overshoot. And at some point, the market will break. And there will be enough supply pressure from the printing presses at the same time that the demand pressure from the market is falling off. And when that happens and you have a supply and demand imbalance in that direction, the prices go down. Now, I don't know when this is going to happen. 1 month, 3 months, 6 months. We could go into an insane period where this keeps up for another 12 months. I don't know. I've been around markets long enough to not try to guess. But when you look out there and you see the kind of craziness in the market and how long it's been sustained at this fever pitch, you know the market is going to break at some point. And so when I think about Destined Rivals, what I think is, okay, right now we're at the beginning of that 2-year period when we can buy Destined Rivals as a supported product from the Pokemon Company. And let's say that, Craig thinks the market is going to break at some point and 250 is too much to pay. Okay. So let's say Craig sets an alarm clock and he goes to sleep for 6 months. And in 6 months, we're a quarter of a way through that supported lifetime. I think by then, odds are the prices will be lower. Now, how much lower? Who knows? Maybe they're crashed all the way back to $120. Or more likely, they're on their way down and maybe they're already past 200, or maybe not. And that's the thing a lot of people will get upset about, is that no, I won't make exact predictions because they're not useful. They're never correct. What you're looking for in the market when you're making predictions is general directions, big trends, things like that. And the thing I see is that, yeah, in 6 months, when we're a quarter of the way through Destined Rivals supported lifetime, I expect it to be lower price. And a year after that, when we're 3/4 of the way through its supported lifetime, I expect the market will have moved on so much. I mean, we're talking a year and a half from now. That's 6 more releases. And so by that point, no one will care about Destined Rivals. They'll care about it as much as you care about Sword and Shield base right now. No one will worry. And so also, you will have had 18 additional months for the printing presses to run. 18 additional months for people to be disappointed by not getting what they wanted when they waited outside GameStop in the morning. 18 additional months of casual collectors walking away because the prices are just too high and it's not fun for them. And so I think the demand is going to drop off. The supply is going to overshoot like we should expect it to, and that the prices will come down sometime in the future. And yeah, people will be upset that I simply say sometime in the future, but I don't have a crystal ball. All I have is the experience of 20 plus years being successful in different types of markets. So I'm not buying Destined Rivals at $250, and I'm going to wait a little while. And the flip side is hedging yourself. And so on things like Twilight Masquerade, Surging Sparks, and Journey Together, I started taking small nibbles because I started to see, hey, on Twilight Masquerade, we're what, 9 or 12 months post-release now, and the prices are still low 200s. And so I said, okay, well, maybe this could keep up for long enough that we never get enough reprints within the supported lifetime of Twilight Masquerade that the price comes down significantly. And so I went ahead and I bought 2 boxes a couple months ago. I don't know. They were on the What Did I Buy video for one of these months. And so I got in and I bought a couple boxes to hedge myself against all the rest of my predictions being wrong. And so I didn't claim to know the future. What I said was, how can I, on average, have the best possible outcomes? And so what I see is the market being at a fever pitch for way too long already, and probably being incapable of sustaining that in the long term. Another 6 months, I would be shocked if people are still lining up outside of Best Buy to get nothing 6 months from now. And I know for people who maybe haven't been around for these market cycles before and maybe haven't seen the history of how this works, they're going to be thinking I'm crazy, that all of this could fall off and these boxes, Surging Sparks, could be a $130 box a year from now. But it's exactly what happened in 2021 and 2022. The boxes went from crazy high prices to getting absolutely flooded out of the market, and the prices dropping to the level that stores were being offered poison pill deals where they had to take multiple cases of Fusion Strike in order to get single boxes of other sets that were current at the time. And today, Fusion Strike is a $750 box. And there was a time when distributors were forcing stores to buy it. So things can change very, very, very dramatically in these kind of markets. And they can do it quicker than you think. And so hopefully that answers my patron's question about how I feel about Destined Rivals and how I think about this kind of problem in the market. How I think about the Pokemon market having been so crazy for so long already and its ability to sustain that or not over the medium time period. Again, I could be completely wrong. We could go 2 solid more years of this. It's possible. It's incredibly unlikely, but it's possible. We could go 2 more years of people being willing to wait outside of GameStop at 6 in the morning to buy nothing and wait outside of Target having fistfights and getting arrested. Maybe. Maybe it could go for 2 more years, and then the entire imprint life of Twilight Masquerade and Surging Sparks and Journey Together and Destined Rivals would all be behind us and we would have missed out. Unless we hedged and bought a box or 2 once in a while as we started to see that 2-year supported life moving past us slowly. Let me know if you have any questions, guys. And yeah, thanks to everyone who makes this content possible, especially my very generous supporters on Patreon. Like, comment, share, and subscribe, and join me on Final Trade.